Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this video is going to be my August TBR as chosen by my TBR game, which still doesn't have a name. So for now I'm just calling it the Get Me Out of Here TBR game because I can't think of anything else right now. But yeah, we're going to be using my TBR game to choose some books for me to read next month. What's exciting about August is that I'm going to be taking part in a Kindle Reading challenge with Helen from Helen's Bookhaven. I will leave Helen's channel linked in the description, as well as the video that she made recently about this challenge. But basically we're going to be seeing who can read the most Kindle books in August, and I'm very excited because I feel like I have been neglecting my Kindle recently, or at least at the start of the year. I've actually recently only been reading on my Kindle because I've been really struggling to read physically, having some problems with my neck and my shoulders. I'm not going to go into it, but with my Kindle I can raise the screen up so I don't have to like hunch over, which is obviously great. So yeah, all of the books that I'm going to be reading next month are hopefully going to be from my Kindle. I am still going to be listening to audiobooks through Scribd, but I don't always put those on my TBR because I tend to mood read more with audiobooks compared to my physical reading. But all of that rambling to say, let's get into the video and find out what I'm going to be reading first in August. Now, I have been reading quite a lot of fantasy recently, so that's the only genre that I would sort of like to try and avoid this round, but we're going to see what the game has in store. Rule number one is a 2-1-2, which is thriller or horror. I've had to open the window because it's really hot in here, so apologies if the sound has changed or if you hear any background noise, but rule number one landed on thriller or horror, and for this I've decided to go with one of the oldest books on my Kindle. I think this came out in 2016 and I probably bought it in 2016, so 8 years ago, which is unbelievable. I can't believe it's taken me this long to read this book. It is a book that I'm still interested in. The book I'm talking about is The Girl in the Ice by Robert Brinzer, which I believe is book one in the Erica Foster series, a series that is still ongoing. I looked on Goodreads and the 8th book came out earlier this year. I think it's a series of companion novels though, where you're following this main detective and I'm assuming a team of people who are investigating different crimes. So in this particular book, they're investigating after a young woman is found buried under a sheet of ice in a London park. Sounds really intriguing. It sounds like it's going to be really gripping and fast-paced, and I've heard nothing but good things about this book and this series, so hopefully I do enjoy it. Rule number two is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is romance. Rule number two landed on romance, and for this I've gone with Only When It's Us by Chloe Lease, which is again technically the first book in a series. I think the series is called the Bergman Brothers series, but it's another one where you can read them out of order because they're more like companion novels. This one does sound intriguing. It's a college sports romance. The female main character is a soccer player and she's described in the synopsis as being wild and fiery. I think we might have a grumpy sunshine dynamic, kind of, because the love interest is described as being quiet and surly. Hopefully they're going to have an interesting dynamic, but they sit next to each other in class and are forced to work together on their final project. Then I'm assuming that a romance develops from there. So yeah, excited for this one. It sounds like it might have some more emotional themes because it says it tackles the vulnerability of love with humour and heart. So yeah, really excited to give this one a try. Don't know how many books there are in this series. I feel like there's quite a lot, but again, because it's a companion series, I feel like it doesn't matter if you do leave large breaks in between books. Rule number three is a 3, 1, 2, 3, which is fantasy. Rule number three landed on fantasy, and for this I'm going with The Flames of Albion by Jean Mingus, I think is how you pronounce her last name. Jean is a booktuber and I always want to pronounce her last name as Menzies, but I know that that's not how you pronounce it because I saw a TikTok video where she talked about it. This came out a few years ago and I was really excited for it because it's a cozy fantasy with dragons. I'm currently filming a reading vlog where I'm reading reading lots of fantasy books about dragons or featuring dragons, and yeah, I thought I would add this to the TBR because I'm hoping for that vlog to go live the first week of August. I think this will be the last book that I read for that vlog. I'm hoping it's going to be a really cozy time. I've heard that it has really good LGBTQ+ rep. I'm not sure if this is a standalone or a series. If it is a series, then the second book isn't out yet, but because this was self-published or indie published, then it will also count for one of the Our Fantasy bingo prompts, which I'm excited about because I was really struggling to find a book that would fit that space on the board, and this is perfect. Roll number 4 is a 212, which is thriller or horror again. Roll number 4 landed on thriller and horror again, so for this I'm going with another crime thriller series. I have the first book in, I believe it's called the Abby Mullen series by Mike Omer. The first book is called A Deadly Influence, and this one intrigues me because the main character is a hostage negotiator. I think it's set in New York as well, which is a setting that I love. I believe this starts with someone from the main character's past reaching out to her because her son has been kidnapped, and the hostage people, the kidnappers, have asked for a pretty high ransom. So intrigued to see how this one plays out. Not sure how many books there are in this series, and I don't think this is actually the most popular series by this author, but I'm intrigued. I have it on my Kindle and it has really good reviews, so let's go for it and tick off another book that's been on my TBR for literal years. Roll number 5 is a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is thriller and horror again. There is a theme to the thrillers that I'm choosing for this TBR. You might be able to guess what kind of reading vlog I have planned, but the next book that I'm adding to my TBR is Hope to Die by Cara Hunter. This is book 6 in the D.I. Adam Fawley series, which is a series that I love. I read the first 4 books, I think, within the space of a week. Was it 5 years ago? It was probably 5 years ago now, but I read the first 4 books because that was how many were out at the time. And then book 5 I read when it came out. I might have got an ARC for it actually, and it was okay. I didn't really like the ending though, so it was a little disappointing. And then when Hope to Die came out, I was really intrigued, but I haven't got around to reading it yet. I bought it on my Kindle and it's just been sat there ever since, so I'm going to take this opportunity to finally pick it up. Whenever I explain the synopsis for a crime thriller series, I feel like they all sound the same. You're following a team of detectives as they're investigating different crimes, but what I do like about this series is that it's set in the UK, it's set in Oxford. Cara Hunter is also really good at writing twists, so usually they end up going in a direction that I'm not expecting. This particular book follows the team as they investigate a murder at an isolated farm on the outskirts of Oxford. The farm's owner claims that the shooting was self-defense against a burglar? I can't say that word. But there's something that's not quite right about the crime scene, so the team are investigating and trying to work out what happened. Very excited to be continuing this series. If you are interested, by the way, in getting into Cara Hunter's books, I know that sometimes a series can be quite intimidating, but she does also have a standalone that came out last year. It's called Murder in the Family, and I would recommend that as well. I did really enjoy it. That one's told entirely in multimedia, whereas her D.I. Adam Fawley series has regular prose, but then also the occasional multimedia, like newspaper articles and things like that. And then this could be the final roll. It's not, it's a 212, which is romance. I don't know if you can hear the bird outside my window right now, but I'm going to push through. Roll number 6 landed on romance, and for this I've decided to go with You Again by Kate Goldbeck. I'm not sure about this one. I might end up swapping this out for a different romance because this is very much giving me autumn vibes, and I don't know whether I'm going to want to read that in August if the weather is still hot, but the synopsis for this does sound intriguing. We're following 2 main characters who meet initially, I think, because they're dating the same woman, then I believe it develops into a friendship and then eventually romance. I've heard comparisons to When Harry Met Sally, which I have seen but years ago, and I can remember enjoying it. I know that this is set in New York, which I love New York, and I almost read this actually in February when I went to New York, but I ended up getting sick, so I didn't read as much as I was expecting to. Hopefully I will enjoy this one. I've heard mixed things, but the people who I've seen enjoying this are people who tend to have similar taste in romance to me. And this should be the final roll. It's a 3. So we have escaped the board. That does bring me to the end of this video though. So thank you for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments if you've read any of these books and what you thought of them. Let me know what you're planning on reading in August, and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me. But otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.